Good evening. This is Duane Lowry for the DPP Grain Desk and Farms Technology on Sunday, July 21st. It's currently 5:34 in the afternoon. Um, the outlook tonight is obviously going to be based on weather. Um, Once you get to interpretations of weather, I think that it's not quite so easy to determine how it will be interpreted. The bears are going to point to a very benign temperature forecast pattern during the next 2 weeks. I think that's accurate. I think that's true. I understand why people would say that's bearish. The bullish side of the forecast or the weather, we had what I would consider to be disappointing rains in the Midwest during the weekend. Iowa was certainly disappointed with the rain activity. It's true that there's been some pop-up showers show up on the radar this afternoon in parts of Iowa, especially the southern part of the state. Southern part of the state is probably the weakest producing district in the state. Not to minimize the rain there, but the other thing to point out, over the weekend there's been a couple of times where we've had pop-up showers show up on the radar, and those areas have had a difficult time getting enough rain to even settle the dust. Where there's been measurable precip, most of that's been a ½ inch or less. Best rains were probably found in Nebraska. Dry areas of concern, I would say most all of Iowa, Minnesota, Missouri, Nebraska. Nebraska's received some rains, but I think in many of those regions, especially the dryland areas, it's been we've already had irreversible crop yield potential losses, and I think to some extent some of those areas have been pretty severe. So I'm not sure how important rains there are. While there's not going to be a lot of emotion associated with weather because of the lack of heat in the forecast, when you look at the 2-week outlook, I don't think there's a lot of rain there either. And I think that all the areas that have been in the focus for the dry areas, you're going to start to see that expand into parts of Illinois. So I think there's aspects of the forecast that are concerning. I think the other thing that happens when we get to the 21st day of July and we come back from a weekend, people have been out and about driving around, some for the sole purpose of a crop tour, so to speak. The one thing that's noticeable in the western Midwest, which is I think is where all the focus is as far as concern and uncertainty, the soybean crop continues to be very small, hasn't developed very well, had a very late start, and pretty soon the hope isn't going to be enough anymore. And I think that the 21st day of July, with what people saw driving through this weekend, especially in the West here with the slow development of beans, I think that should raise some concerns, and I think the anxiety levels should be going up in terms of soybean production. There's also something that we've known about, but the market hasn't necessarily given it enough respect, in my opinion. We've lost a lot of acres. There's a lot of no-plant acres in parts of Iowa and southern Minnesota. Not to mention the late development of the crops that did get planted. When you look at the technical makeup of the markets here tonight, I don't see anything in the technical picture that looks like that I would consider to be bearish. You might have some things that we're waiting for a turn to get a better signal, things of this nature, but I don't see anything that suggests we're going to build downside momentum. And I don't see the weather as bearish. I know some people will spin it that way based on the cool temperatures, but I see enough concerns that I don't think weather is bearish. Now maybe we can argue about how bullish it can be without the heat, but I don't see it as bearish. The technical conditions, I think, are poised to have a pretty strong rally in wheat, corn, and soybeans. When you look at the fundamental assessments, I think most people will be quicker to anticipate a soybean market rally than they will corn or maybe wheat. But if the markets are weaker tonight, which I really don't think they should be, but if they are, it should be minimal, and I think that weakness will be quickly rejected. If the markets are higher tonight, whether that's right from the opening or shortly thereafter, I think people may first respond and be concerned about soybeans, and I think that price action has been better than most people have expected. But there's a lot of short covering energy that could be unleashed in corn if we begin to gravitate this market higher. I don't know what those trigger points are. They're probably something above 520 basis December, which from where we closed at, that would imply, you know, you'd have to be 20 cents higher. But I think if the market starts to move higher, I think you're going to see short covering. I think they're going to look ahead to the crop ratings on Monday afternoon, and I think there'll be very few people that will expect those conditions to improve. The question will be how much they go down, and so I think we got potential to be higher tonight, and I think we got potential to be quite firm here during the next 2 or 3 weeks. For the DPP Grain Desk and Farms Technologists, it's been Duane Lowry. Thank you.